All right, everybody. So thank you for coming to the weird echo. Thank you for coming to the second one of these groups. The first time went really well, so hopefully tonight goes even better than the first time. We have 3 awesome speakers tonight. I'm not going to take up a bunch of time doing an introduction. We'll just get right into it. So first up is going to be Vivo Gig.
Hey, I'm Daniel Senior. Is that remote?
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I can do it.
Good? Okay.
Yeah. You guys can hear last night. I'm Daniel Senior, CEO and founder of Vivo Gig. I'm also product manager of a travel startup, which is a new thing, part of my talk as well. But to get through this quickly, just give you a background of what Vivo Gig is, how we kind of came to that, and the lessons learned very briefly in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Can you press mute?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was me.
Oh, wait.
Nope.
Is there a remote right on the table?
Yeah.
Let's see. There we go.
Okay. So in short, Vivo Gig is the best way to sponsor music. We, reach out to bands, we reach out to brands, we tie them together in basically a disguised brand activation. We run a photo contest on our proprietary platforms. We build an app similar to Instagram, take photos, win prizes, get votes, but all that traffic and branding lives on the brand site. So we're essentially, like I said, disguising a brand as a contest. It's not what we started with. We were purely a B2C play. We planned to sell music, tickets, take photos. This was sort of early days when Instagram was just kind of bubbling under. So kind of hit it probably a little bit at the wrong time. We were a few months earlier. Things could have been different, but we sort of had to change the model to follow the money. And when we evaluated the market, sort of about a year and a half in, we realized that the best way to drive adoption was to put money in the artists' pockets, and the easiest way to do that was to go to brands who have lots of money trying to reach the sort of demographic groups that the artists are appealing to. So the way we position ourselves is we are the better way to do sponsorship. So you've got your traditional physical sponsorship. It's big, it's expensive, it's distracting. Few people see it, it's tied to the physical location, and when you walk away, you're not going to run to AT&T and buy a new phone. Whereas what we're doing is we're bringing value to the fans, so the brand's equity is increased. They see, cool, I take a photo of artist X, and I get a free track from them. And now, because it's social, and it's shared to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, that brand carries and drives traffic through to the brand website. So sponsorship's now clickable and trackable. We've had some good traction. We've worked with some really cool bands. A lot of metal bands. One of my co-founders was with Warner Music, and his sort of speciality was within metal. So, Hailstorm's a Grammy-winning band. Worked with some big group tours, Hard Drive Live, several festivals, a lot of local festivals. And we've had talks with, we've been able to sit down and talk to Kanye, Selena Gomez, Josh Groban, we've had access to those people, but essentially what we're doing is it's a new thing, it's a new way to sponsor. So we've had a good time finding bands willing to take money. The challenge is on the flip side for us is having to do biz dev on 2 sides and trying to find brands who are willing to try a new product to give money. But during these pilots we've done, we get more photos per user on Instagram. We increase web traffic by 300%. So we've got some good test cases, but sort of making that jump from successful test cases to big, $100,000 paid campaigns is a pretty big step. Some of the things I've learned, and I've advised a few music tech startups, and I've met with many more. Everyone sees what the problems are. Everyone has these great ideas. I keep getting people coming and saying, "Hey, I've got this great idea. We're going to do streaming better than Spotify, sell music better than iTunes, do tickets better than Ticketmaster, etc." We all know these are issues. We all know there's better ways to do them, but there's a reason that the big guys with millions of dollars in funding and huge development teams aren't tackling everything at the same time. You really have to sort of find your minimal viable product, prove that there's a need for that thing, and then expand from that as you get successful. And that's one of the things, if you're pitching investors, you're really going to hear. Just keep it, just keep peeling away the layers until you get to the core problem that you're trying to solve. Focus on that. I think one of the key things I learned was that you have to accept and embrace being beaten up. You have to go in front of investors, especially those who probably aren't going to invest in you, and get as much feedback as you can. You want to know what the questions are, you want to know what to expect when you're actually in front of someone serious who may have a chance to invest in you. You need to understand the thinking that sort of comes around investment, what they're looking for, what they think is wrong, and be kind of ready and prepared to combat those questions in a serious way. So I've done I've probably pitched 200 times in front of big groups, small groups, etc. A lot of it is, I've done the big group pitches, the CTANs, the RICE, all the funding forums where I'm going in front of a bunch of science guys. They're not going to invest in me, but I want to hear the super technical questions and have my CTO next to me so he can hear and so we can prepare our responses when we're actually talking to someone who's really interested. It's important to learn to code, and this is, I can't code, so I'm sort of talking to myself here as well, but I'm good friends with the head of the San Francisco Music Tech Summit and Music Tech Fund, and the first thing he said to me was, the second thing he said to me was that I'm never going to invest in you because you cannot code. If you can't code yourself, or you don't have a technical co-founder who's got equity in the company, if you run out of money, the development stops and you sort of are in trouble. So it's a good idea. It's not essential. Plenty of people have raised money, done well without that, but it's a good thing if you can kind of find a spare evening once a night to kind of learn some basics. It's a really good thing. And if you can't, you have to find the right CTO. You really need someone technical on the team, and that's tough. I've done, I heard you talking about the co-founder meetups. I've done, did a bunch of those early on, trying to find a technical co-founder. You pitch, you get a line of people wanting to talk, but it's all sales guys, dev guys, marketing guys. So you just have to keep networking the fuck out of us and trying to find those technical people. So think broader. The first thing that Brian from the SF Music Tech Summit said to me was, don't call it music tech. Don't say this is a music startup, which was horrible to hear, broke my heart. But if you're looking at the investor pool, you say you want to eliminate the barriers. There's not a lot of people who've made a lot of money in music tech from investing and making money over. So investors like to invest in what they understand and what they know. Oil guys who made millions in oil are going to invest in other oil companies. If they do diversify, they may dip their toe in a music startup, but very few are going to risk it all on multiple music startups. And what I found in Austin especially is it's the live music capital of the world. Not a lot of people have made a lot of money. They'll go and give all their money to KLRU to support music, but to support music tech is a whole different thing. They're looking for a return on that. That's not just feel good, which KLRU is. And so, one of the things we kind of changed our positioning. Instead of saying we're a music startup, we are a fan engagement platform, or we're a publishing platform, or whatever the case is. There's a way to approach this, whatever you're doing, to say what we're doing is we're getting entity A from entity B and we're making money. The vehicle in which we're doing that is music. Music is a very engaging tool. So for us, we were saying we're getting brands in front of millennials and using the music to get their buy-in. So it can be difficult if you are building a music streaming site to sort of work around music. But yeah, I've fought that for probably about a year, saying, fuck that, if they don't get it, I don't need them. It's not their job to get it, it's your job to explain it in a way that interests them, that engages them. And that goes for BizDev as well. For us, with the brand side, like I said, we could get bands, but for a brand, we really have to boil it down to the essence. You are getting money from them through this mechanism, and then you can get into the how, but really you want to get in, focus on what is it you're offering. Really, this room is important, this Capital Factory is important, the broader tech community is important. I think it's really important to sort of share resources, to network, and if you guys see opportunities to collaborate, do that early on before you get into messy equity situations. Matt and I, and Joel from Rockify, Anthony from Eye in the Sky, we've all been doing music tech for quite a while, and we've thrown 3, our Southby parties. We've done 3 in a row where we just joined forces. I'll bring my investors, I'll bring my press, you bring your connections, this and that. So we've got a big room full of people who are all interested in the same thing, and us, 4 companies with a room of 200 people who we can just network and sort of help each other out. I think that's really important, is sharing resources and knowledge, because you're just repeating history. If you haven't done your research, look to the competition and actually look locally to see what you can tap into. This is up for debate. I would recommend trying to keep a cash flow going as long as possible. I probably I raised 400,000 on my first pitch. I walked up and, into a big crowded room, did a pitch. A guy grabbed me, pulled me up, said, "How much do you need?" I was like, "This is easy. I'm gonna just keep doing this all the time." Never happened again. I pitched in front of, like I said, probably another 200 rooms since. Never had anyone like that. But so we were like, okay, well, screw this. I'm going to quit my job. We're going to get an office. We're going to hire a bunch of people. Try and keep, even if it's a part-time gig, try and keep it going until you get to those sort of validation and traction points that you feel like this is actually going. Because there's a lot of testing. We've pivoted our model 3 times and probably not done yet. You really have to sort of be able to have that security. And that's why I'm product managing for the travel startup. It's because we raised a bunch of money, got some reasonable traction, and sort of ran out of gas financially. So everyone's had to go off and do side gigs, whereas if I had kept going and sort of had been able to keep my savings account a little more stocked up, I could be still working full-time on what I love. And team's very important. Beyond the technical, you have to sort of try and find, and it can be tough, but my team comprised of people from MTV, Pandora, I've got investment from Hulu, we've got Ticketmaster, Warner Brothers, etc. This gives me a lot of traction, validation for investors. When I'm doing biz dev, I can say our team comprises of industry experts with X amount of years experience. Even still, it's a struggle at times to kind of break through. But this team took me 2.5 years to build. So you just kind of got to keep growing, keep making introductions, and like I said, just keep networking everywhere you can. That's probably it. Okay. Thanks. You guys
Actually, I have one.
Yeah.
Sorry. You were mentioning when you were speaking to investors that they would give you insights into their thinking about your idea and music tech in general. Would you care to share any of the insights that you learned from those?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it you have to ignore. You're going to get, a million opinions, but you have to sort of be pretty adept at listening and taking those in, discussing them with the team, and having a team to bounce things off of, because some of the advice we ignored early on when we pitched Silverts and Ventures, they advised us and said, stop trying to sell music, stop trying to sell your API. No one's going to want to buy your photo feed until you get millions of photos. You don't have enough users to be selling tickets. Just focus on one thing. And we walked out and were like, yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. And it took us 1.5 years to come back around, and we did exactly what they told us to back then. Some of the other things, like I said, the investor saying that tech is really important. One of the things that you'll come across a lot is just an ignorance of the music industry. There's a lot of different layers and different entry points and different ways to monetize and make an impact. But the problem is that an investor who doesn't understand the space is going to look and say, CD stores are closing, artists are struggling, what's it called? Blanking on the music sharing service. Yeah, things are shutting down, and I've had many investors tell me, tell me 20 companies that have had huge exits in music. That's tough to do, so you can point at, like Matt said earlier, stock price of Pandora and this and that, but there's not a lot of reference points for an investor who, when you start out, I was like, you should be investing because this is cool and you should care about music. Investors are looking to make money and they want to know, is there a big exit or is there real revenue being earned? So for us, we kept getting told, get to revenue quicker, simplify what you're doing, and sort of try and get as many signed contracts, letters of intent as you can.
So you mentioned 3 pivots. Can you briefly just talk about what the...
So we started off saying we're going to take photos. That's anyone who's looking at a photo that's a strong indicator of interest of that band. So then we can surface and say, well, here are tickets that are coming, of that act. We're coming to your town, and here's music. So we could sort of sell these, upsell, cross-sell, basically based on your interest in that band. That worked okay, but one of the problems I had was not being technical. I had a tough time vetting CTOs. So I've had 3 different technology guys, and each of them want to build their own. So they just tear down the old stuff and just start again. So it kind of got to the point where we evaluated and said, I actually started hiring an outside company to come in and every quarter come in and vet the code, dig through, tell me what's wrong. And it was expensive to do, but if I'd been doing that from the beginning, I'd spent a lot of money on 3 full-time CTOs. So we started off doing the whole B2C thing. We then pivoted to say we're going to sell to brands and bands. And what we're actually working on right now is actually selling directly to venues. So they can be a big venue or a festival. They already have a team that has brand sales. They're already doing all that stuff. Instead of us trying to do biz dev on two sides of the same equation, we sell to them for a lower price. We say, you pay us for our service, and if you bring in a brand to sort of cover your costs, we'll take a rev share on that. So it's really, yeah.
Oh, sorry, is there
No.
when you pitch to the customer, to a potential investor, what market research do you provide them, and how do you get the market research? Are there existing tools available for you to let them know who you can reach and the statistics behind it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of annual reports in the music industry that I always started off with. We try to very quickly get to our user stats and sort of very selectively pull things like we get 3 more photos per user than Instagram does. We probably have 10% of the audience uses our app and 60% is using Instagram, but on a per capita we're getting more content. So you've got to pick and choose your metrics, but there are, what are they?
IFPI, so IFPI, the Live Nation annual report, I don't know, there's a bunch of them. But
Yeah,
it depends on what part of the industry you're looking at, right? So if you want,
It's concerts.
if it's concerts, there's, Live Nation one's probably real good. Polestar comes out with an annual, quarterly and annual reports. C3, you guys probably get interesting data.
Yeah, we do. We don't share any of it because we're not public,
Right.
but yeah, we focus on the same
Yeah.
areas.
But generally, IFPI and Polestar would probably be your 2 best open sources of reporting on that. Right? But at the same time, you want to be able to, essentially on that first conversation, be able to say, yeah, it's $1 billion opportunity, pay attention to me, right? And then throw it out. Like after that, just don't even worry about it. It's not part of the conversation anymore. Like, how do you scale up?
You sort of get your baseline market size is this, and then we are doing that in that space, and hypothesize that we will reach X amount of value. But it's important to try and get those metrics, those internal metrics, as quickly as you can, even if they're pretty minimal. Anything else?
Awesome, thank you very much. Okay, so, well, I guess one of the big things I took away from that was just saying how important it is for all of us to kind of work together. Like, we're all going to kind of grow and scale together if we all help each other. So great that we're all here tonight, and let's make sure afterwards to really connect and see how we can all help each other out. So after listening to Vivo Gig, let's switch gears a little bit and get away from just a traditional startup, and let's go with Dave from C3.
Sure. I don't have a PowerPoint or anything. I just have a few notes on my phone here. But Lewis just asked me to speak about my role at C3, some of the experiences that I've had there with integrating technology and some of the challenges that we face. So I'm a digital technology manager at C3 Present, so I oversee 11 web properties, I guess, so festival websites and mobile apps. We have ACL Festival, which I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. 4 Lollapalooza websites. We have Chicago and then 3 South American festivals now, Argentina, Chile, and Brazil. LouFest, which is a festival in St. Louis that we just became a part of last year. 2 food and wine festivals, so Austin Food and Wine here, Music City Eats, which is in Nashville. We have a new festival in Chicago this summer. It's an art festival called Art Alliance going on around the same time as Lollapalooza. C3 Concerts, which has all of our concert listings for all the concerts that we promote in Austin and the Texas region here, and then our C3 Presents website. So some of the things that I've came across that have kind of been a challenge for me in this role. So I oversee the website, so I'm mainly focused on project management and a little bit of development as well. So it's for about 70% project management. I also manage our product roadmap, or our website roadmap really, and develop about 30% of the festival websites and apps. Probably what's a little bit different than what you guys are doing is that technology isn't our core product. Our events are our core product, and our technology is really there, or the festival website technology is really there to support marketing and ultimately to sell tickets. So we come across quite a few challenges just because of that. our ideas kind of get generated from all across the board, from our technology team itself to our marketing department, from our partners, from people like you and these types of events. And everybody has a lot of ideas around music technology. And we're one of the, people want to sell to us. They want to integrate with us. So it's a challenge to us to figure out what exactly we want to integrate into our websites and how that will sell tickets. So we need to make that connection before we integrate any technology into our website. So I think that's something for you guys to really pay attention to when you're coming to C3 and you're maybe cold calling me or asking for the director of R&D or whoever, is really being able to tell us what we offer you guys will ultimately sell tickets in the end, whether if that's going to increase engagement on our sites, whether if it's going to provide some analytical data on the back end. Maybe you guys have something else that you can offer that we can use to reach our customers better, things like that. So I'm just going to give a few examples of some technology that we've integrated in our sites and how the ideas came about and what challenges we face. So we refreshed all of our music festival websites over the past year and a half. You guys probably saw ACL had a new website last year. And one of the new things that we integrated, or that we wanted to integrate, this came from our partners, is they wanted a persistent player across the website. So a player, when you can stream audio on the website, and as you navigate through different areas, if you're going to the lineup page, creating your schedule, or to the artist bio, that streaming audio does not stop. So we vetted all sorts of streaming audio products that are out there, Spotify, Beats, Rdio, and we finally landed on SoundCloud. And this was for a few reasons, but the main reason was because SoundCloud was the most flexible for us. We wanted to have something that fit well within our designs that we could customize. So Rdio and Spotify would only give us a widget that had their branding on it or their color scheme with it. But Spotify had an API that we could call, we could stream for free, and it allowed us to customize the player and build our own playlist out of it. So being able to integrate technologies into our site and be flexible in how they're integrated was key for us, and that's key for us when it comes to any technology that we integrate. Another thing that we are in the process of implementing right now is a service called Tradable Bits. Are any of you familiar with it at all? Okay, so what they do is, or what they allow us to do, is leverage all of the social assets and social media around our festivals. So we're able to take, for example, we run a promotion every Thursday, a social promotion. You guys familiar with Throwback Thursday on Instagram and Twitter, where you post old photos every Thursday. So we run a promotion every Thursday with a Throwback Thursday Lala promotion. So people on Instagram post old photos at Lollapalooza and tag it with TBT Lala. So we're able to aggregate all social media from Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Flickr, YouTube, wherever we see that TBT Lala tag, and display that aggregate on our website. And that's there to increase engagement and keep engagement on the website. But what really sold us about Tradable Bits was the flexibility that they offered us. We were able to customize the look and feel of the social media as we display it. We were able to rate limit the API call, or actually they were able to be flexible with the rate limit on the API call. So really it was around flexibility and why we chose to integrate with Tradable Bits over some of the other competitors that are out there that would do the same things. So yeah, that's some of my advice is to really be flexible as a startup, and if you have a bigger client that you're looking to integrate with, try to be as flexible as possible, because that's really what people like us are looking for. Couple of challenges that we've had, or at least in the last 7 months that I've been there, kind of being a non-technical company, kind of switching gears here, and being in technology in a non-technical company is really how do we sell technology to our partners. So our partners are ultimately the ones that are buying it. I'm the one that receives, that's going out and getting RFPs for technology and working with people like you guys and integrating technology. So how do we sell that to the partners, and how do we explain it to them that this is something that will sell tickets. So as I was saying earlier, provide analytics, provide data, how it can relate to ticket sales, and those things really help us a lot. Let's see if I have anything else here. I think that's about it. Do you guys have any questions about anything that we do? Sure.
How do you see yourself fitting into the sort of music tech community? Because I know myself and several others have had interactions with you guys that everyone's busy, you know, but it's sort of like you're looked at as the patrons of what we're all trying to do.
Right, right.
So I think it's important for you guys to sort of, you know, you need to be feeding our fire by saying, good job, you know, and that's tough because you don't have the time or space, but I know that it's, you know, being the big dog in the city, you know, do you guys see yourself, do you recognize that?
Well, that's part of the reason why I'm here today. I'm trying to push it, so I'm newer at C3, I came in about 7 months ago, and this is something that we haven't been doing.
Have you taken Patrick's place?
No, Patrick's moved into director of marketing, and I've kind of came in under Eric. Are you familiar with Eric? Yeah. So part of what we're doing in building this team up is trying to have more reach within the community here. And really, I'm here to hear everything that you guys are out there doing and bringing it back to C3 and seeing if there's any fit as well.
Yeah.
What kind of, I guess ultimately I know that it's ticket sales really, but what kind of analytics and metrics are you guys using? You know, is there anything, are you guys maybe monitoring engagement or click-through rates, you know, stuff that isn't just money coming in the door, or I know that ultimately that's what you're trying to get to, but is there other, you know, maybe not a full win, but a smaller victory?
So social capital is big to us too. So when this is part of kind of what we're doing with this Tradable Bits integration is trying to get a better read on how our festival attendees are engaging with our brands outside of just buying tickets. And so we pull analytics through Tradable Bits. We'll pull them through different promotions that we run on Facebook, through Twitter as well.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, one last. So you mentioned that everything that you do tries to drive towards greater ticket sales, but do you ever look at other revenue streams that might surround the events? So be it, you know, merch or VIP event packages, or so either maybe it's driving higher ASPs or it's an ancillary, like that'll be fairly mercenary, like live recordings.
Sure.
Where there might be a way for that to help augment the overall revenue from a particular.
Yeah, absolutely, we do. We haven't done, well, I guess there has been a few live recordings of some Lollapalooza sets. I think those have more stemmed from the artists themselves rather than us trying to push it to the artists. So I think how that would really help us is if an artist came to us with somebody like you saying, we want to do this at Lollapalooza and we think that this can also work with however many other artists that are playing this festival or ACL as well. So it really helps when the artist comes to the table with that too.
Sure. Okay. Thanks.
I think that's more of this for everyone else. So when I was talking to Patrick, we were he really liked what we were doing. There was a lot of synergies there. But the issue was essentially, C3 can't be looked at as a promotion tool for your startup. For us, it was he was like, I want an SDK to put your camera in our app. And until you can do that, we're not going to segment our audience and say, download that and download that and download that. They've got their core app, website, products. If you can focus your efforts on integrating into what they have, make that better than promoting your own stuff, I think you're going to have greater success.
And that's exactly what I say around the flexibility to be able to handle clients' requirements when it comes to maybe having something a little bit more seamlessly integrated that's not really sharing your brand as much. Then down the road, there's other sort of sponsorship opportunities where we maybe put a logo in an area that's reachable to a larger audience.
Cool. Anyone else?
Is your website C3?
C3presents.com.
C3 what?
Presents.
Presents.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, and last but not least, we have Matt.
I'm Matt Peterson from Set FM. We were Deja Set until about a year or so ago, a little less than a year ago. Real quick, just what we do is we do live concert recordings. We make it instantly available for you to download on your phone. So we contract with artists and we give them tool sets, either iPhone, iPad, desktop software, plugins for all the major DAWs. Really give them the tools that they need to create as high quality of recording as they'd like. That's really commensurate with the opportunity that the size of the audience presents. So if you're playing with 20 people in a coffee shop, you grab your iPhone, stick it on the table, get a recording 30 seconds after the end of the show, your fans can get it, all the way up to 50,000 person show, split the feed off of the stage, do a full multi-track recording, and have basically a studio quality recording with crowd noise. So, like I said, we've been around for about 2.5 years now. I guess it was November 2011 that we started working on the idea. I've been in mobile content product development for about 15 years. Places like Bell South, AT&T, Samsung, HTC. I was actually the first product manager for the Beats by Dre music service. Some internal politics at HTC took that away, but starting a music startup, you have to really think about where you're going to find your revenue. You got to find where the dollar is, right? And you've got consumers, you got brands, right? That's really where almost all of the revenue is coming from in music. So one way or the other, you got to find your way to that. What we thought is, if you look at what's happened to the perceived value of recorded music over the last 15 years, it's really going to drive it down towards zero. So Spotify, Pandora, they've kind of cut the legs out of what was the premium music revenue. So in 2010, live music revenue eclipsed recorded music revenue. What was interesting about that is that even though now it's about a 60-40 split, which you can find that in the IPI reports, about 75% of artists' take-home income in the US is from live music. So, it's a bigger part of the dollars that are being spent, but it's even a larger part of what an artist is taking home. So we thought, man, if there's more shows taking place and it's where artists are really looking to replace the revenue that they're losing from their studio, let's figure out what we can do. And we thought about how people were selling music in general and why that perceived value is driving down to zero. And for any kind of content, there's a curve of emotional attachment. And with music, it's never higher than right at the end of the concert. With like any kind of sales, there's a corollary between purchase propensity and emotional attachment. So what we noticed is that nobody's really selling that content right at the end of the show, right? You've got some of them, Fish, Uncle's D, Widespread. Some of these guys have been doing it, having a lot of success, but there's a lot of kind of setup fees and it's not easy for them to do it. So we thought, let's blow this out and see what we can do. We've got about 1,200 artists that are on the platform right now. We have raised 1.8 million so far in 3 different seed rounds. I'll talk a little bit about that kind of funding journey. We bootstrapped for about 8 months. And I actually wish we could have bootstrapped for another year. Because we went into our first funding round, going for seed funding, without really having a strong grasp on how much it was going to take us to get to where we needed to be. And it was the weirdest experience that I had. It's the first time I ever fundraised. Nobody in Austin had any interest at all. Even getting meetings with like Silverton, they're like, wow. So I kind of started reaching out to my network. We got 70% of my round from Toronto, just through a weird roundabout, and then a couple of my former bosses. But what we really had this valuation experience that was really weird. They said, raise out however much you can, and it'll be a 30% round. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but okay. So we started off and we were going to get 300. It's going to be 30% round. We got 500. It's going to be 30% round. We got to 750, 30% round, and almost got to $1 million. But we ended up at 750 for that first one, so it was 30% round. That was probably about half of what we really needed to get to where we should have gone. And if we had spent a little bit more time learning more about just how hard this problem was going to be to solve, I don't know that I would have actually taken that, right? Because ultimately what it would have resulted in, a better plan would have got us, I think, the right amount of funding. And we would have been able to maintain more of the founder equity. So because we've had to do this in kind of multiple rounds, we've taken a larger hit than you would expect maybe in a seed round. So, you sort of hear seeds are 30%, 25 to 30%. You go to a Series A, it's gonna be another 20 to 30%. We've taken a couple of different hits at that same valuation 2 years ago. So that'd be kind of one of the first things I would say is, if you're gonna fundraise, go in as absolutely prepared as you can. Make sure that you've got that technical co-founder that you completely believe in. You know that you're gonna go long haul. Because I'm on my second CTO. I think you said you've been on 3 so far. That hurts. I mean, it's easy to say that every time you do that, you're going to lose 6 months at least. Right? We probably lost a year when we did that. So that's that part. The other thing I would say is that when you're going out to talk about how you're going to raise that money, I said kind of follow the money, but also you got to be dead on with licensing. If you're going to touch content in any way, you better know licensing. And actually, there's a couple of guys in town that they've done a couple of different meetups where they'll help educate on what music licensing looks like, especially in like your situations. A guy named Christian Castle has been in music, like I think he was Napster's chief counsel when the BMG
business development manager for A&M for a bunch of years.
Right. Yeah. So great asset to have in Austin around music tech. There's not many attorneys that I know of that have had a broader range of knowledge around what they do. So, and he's really approachable. So definitely try to reach out if you have any questions around content with that. That is generally one of the biggest reasons why VCs will just shut the door on you, right? Is that if they think that you have to leverage some kind of relationship with a major label to get your business off the ground, you're dead, right? And we're lucky in that because what we're doing actually doesn't have to touch the labels. There's a piece of music licensing around as publishing, so it's not master rights, but it's publishing. So we don't have to really deal with that. Plus, we can scale on an indie model. If you're going at consumers, know that you've got to scale, right? Like you have to have massive scale in your plan, especially if it's not, if it's trying to get like a little bit on a ticket sale or a little bit of a merch sale or any of those. You've got to have millions of users before you're really going to be a viable company. So
can I just tack onto that?
Yeah.
So you asked what feedback I got from investors. Probably the biggest thing I heard was find a B2B channel, especially in Austin. It's getting better. Under Armour acquiring MyFitness, and there's been more and more consumers kind of on the up in Austin.
Yeah.
And Josh Bayer invested in my company and then wrote a blog post immediately after saying, "Don't tell me no one invests in consumer." So they're trying to alleviate that, but the impression is still that Austin is a B2B town, enterprise town, so if you can incorporate a piece of that, it helps with investing as well.
Yeah, and don't limit yourself to Austin though. I mean, there's a lot of money out there to be found, and if you've got an idea that somebody anywhere can get passionate about, just try to spread the word as much as you can. I will say, we got our first institutional investor in Austin a couple months ago, and it actually provides something I really missed. And there's a sense of team and camaraderie that you get when you have local engaged investors, which is actually really positive. So if you can, find them. If you can't, don't let that stop you. There's definitely a lot of passionate money on the coasts. And with music tech, don't always look at VCs. There's a lot of high net worth individuals that are wanting to get into this game. A lot of artists, a lot of managers are in this game. We were talking earlier about Troy Carter, who was Lady Gaga's manager, set up Atom Factory, Scooter Braun. So Atom Factory raised about $100 million for venture funding. Scooter Braun, who was Justin Bieber's manager, raised about $120 million fund. His is actually more focused towards enabling managers to take control of their artist group. So, there are some very focused funds out there. Nas has invested in like 35 different startups. So don't rule out that cousin that knows this person that can put you in, follow it.
How do you get a meeting with Nas?
What's that?
How do you get a meeting with Nas?
He's going to be at Fun Fest. Right? So go walk into the transmission office, say, I need to talk to Nas, and see if they can hook you up, and you give them a point or two of equity and see what they'll do. I mean,
Escorted out of the building.
you might, you know what, but you're never going to succeed if you don't try.
That's for sure.
Right. The last piece is, if you're going to be doing something in music where you're relying upon any of the creative channels, you've got to have somebody that's been embedded in music for 10 to 15 years. It's such a relationship, network-driven business that if you're trying to go in and nobody knows you, forget it. It is so hard. But there are a lot of people that are out there that want to help see good ideas succeed. And if you can build a relationship with them, they'll help you. So, it's just get out there, network. I would say SF Music Tech Conference takes place twice a year in San Francisco. Probably the best place to network around music tech, anywhere in the US each year. And it's fairly cheap, but the types of people that are there, the panels that are there are really, really strong. So I'd recommend checking that out. Lastly, we're just starting to go into our Series A pitch period. And this is where it actually starts to get even more scary and even more interesting, because we've been kind of idea, test. Now it's like you got to put a kind of a flag in the ground and say, we're right, now let's go. And I'm hoping that we'll find some more support here in Austin, but I really doubt it. So we're talking to like Scooter and Troy and those kind of guys to see what we can do. I guess that's about it. Any questions?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah.
I guess you kind of answered it at the end, but I was going to say, how have you seen Austin change as far as being receptive or not, or staying the same to music tech as when you started?
Honestly, there are fewer music tech companies that are really active, ongoing concerns, I think, today than there were when we started. Unfortunately, Daniel had to kind of find something on the side with that. Rockify's kind of on life support out there.
Anthony's there to do side stuff as well.
Right. So, we've tried. I mean, it's really been kind of the four of us for the most part over the last 2 years. And we tried a couple of years, I guess it was fourth quarter of 2012. We were going to set up a music tech co-working / accelerator space. And I was working on getting space lined up and mentors and all of this. And, talking to like Cirrus Logic about sponsoring space. And, there was some talk about, this would be really interesting. We had the Chamber of Commerce that was really interested in moving forward with this. And the problem came down to, there just wasn't the corporate sponsorship that would have made it work. And, no offense to Capital Factory and Josh, but as soon as they kind of got attached to it, it became just a component of Capital Factory. And what we wanted was something that was really more creatively focused. Not long after we started, we had to kind of expand out from music into kind of music and video. And then it kind of spread out a little bit further into gaming. And then all of a sudden, I just kind of threw it all out, right? Because a lot of the gaming companies, the bigger gaming companies that would be interested in this are north, so they want to be kind of arboretum. Most of the music and video guys are kind of down in this area, and they just kind of had competing views, and it just died on the vine, which is really unfortunate because I think that could have been really strong for us all. Because in music startups, we have a little bit different requirements than a regular startup. In a lot of these creative companies, right? Like we like to make noise, right? And like we can't really do that at a place like Capital Factory. And finding that kind of unique space would be great. I will say, there is some growing seeds in Austin around consumer. So there's a new fund, ATX Seed Fund. They invested in us, and they've definitely got more of a consumer bent. They're not going to be a large fund, but a good place to look at seed. So you're kind of looking at that 100 to 300 or something like that. Imagine that's the kind of checks they're going to write. But the Silvertons, the ABs, even CTANs, they're not really going to be real receptive to what we do, and it's unfortunate. So, I think it's going to take a successful company coming out of the scene in Austin for somebody to take notice. One last note: I'm actually still very encouraged, very encouraged by what's happening in the industry, and I think that there's things that are happening right now. So the Apple Beats deal, right? If that happens, that's huge for music tech, right? So I know what they put into that, right? And it wasn't that much. Essentially going from about a $65 million total investment to arguably half of a $3.2 billion deal in about 2.5 years. That's big, right? That's an awesome exit for a music tech company.
What is it?
Beats by Dre Music Service.
Beats at who?
Apple.
Apple, really?
Yeah, so that's been all kind of the talk in the last week that Apple is going to buy Beats.
Okay.
It's arguable whether it's a good idea strategically for Apple or not. It's an awesome idea for Dre. But, right, I mean, it's going to be the first hip-hop billionaire. Spotify, right, is floating around about a $4 billion valuation. Pandora's in a similar space. And in a time when companies like Square and Box are pulling back their IPOs, right? There's this whole talk about, oh, are we in a bubble? Are these big valuations not going to be available any longer? If that Beats deal goes through, it's like, okay, we're not. Like, we still have a great pathway for this. And finding the new way to support the artist, right? Give the fans something that's unique. That will always exist. I think the way that I looked at it, and I probably, with Daniel as well, is like, for 10,000 years, music was about live music, right? And then not really until the 40s and 50s did you have kind of the radio hits and albums and that becoming the major part of music. And with everything that's happened with the perceived value of studio music, you got to find a way to leverage that live. The gap between live and recorded just continues to grow, and by like 2017, it's going to be like 75-25, with 75% coming from live. So either it's brands, it's eyeballs. Find a way to increase ticket sales, find a way to improve the supply chain in ticketing or in merchandising sales. VIP experiences. There's a lot of things that you can do around live. That's where you're probably going to find your investment. I don't know that you're going to find a lot of investment around just recorded distribution. So.
Oh, thank you very much. Any last questions? Great, thanks a lot. Sure. Okay, well, what we did last time, and it went really well, was we just did a quick kind of lightning round around the room to just quickly say your name. Oh, by the way, first of all, thank you so much to the speakers. You guys were awesome, really helpful. I feel like I got a lesson in business and the future of technology and a lot of stuff, so thank you guys so much. We'll just do a quick lightning round around the room. Just say your name, if you're working on anything, and what you'd like to get out of the group. So I'll start. My name is Luis. I'm the organizer of the group. I'm working with Alex on a music startup here in town. It's about cover contests. I'll let Alex talk more about it so you guys don't have to hear me so much. But what I'm trying to get out of the group is exactly what these guys were talking about, and that is just kind of building a community that maybe we can all help each other out. I know that there's some developers here, some entrepreneurs here, collaboration, ideas flowing, like make our ideas better, bring different skill sets, and maybe we can, hopefully someday, like these guys are talking about, build a community of music tech in Austin. It makes a lot of sense. It just seems like it's, there's good moments, there's peaks and valleys, so let's hopefully get an upswing and keep it going. So that's what I hope for the group and hope for myself. So we'll just take it over here and just kind of take it where you want to.
I'm Bobby. I actually worked in the music industry and the recording industry in Chicago. In recording studios, we work with people like Kanye, Callen, with Fiasco, a lot of gospel stuff, jazz. After that, I kind of went into an entrepreneurial part of my life, opened up a couple different businesses, and recently just started Maker Square, where I'm learning how to develop, and I want to kind of bring development and my past in the music industry together. And here, because I want to be able to contribute to the community and learn from all you guys as well.
I'm Sabruch. I work with career services at Maker Square. I'm here to network, meet individuals who have a need for developers, because I'm constantly helping our graduates find new homes once they have their new skills.
I'm Brian. I just want to see what it's about.
I'm Gustavo. I'm Lewis's brother. I just like to come help out when I can, but mainly just to see what people are up to. Yeah, want that.
Dave, introduced myself earlier. Beyond C3 Presents, I moved here from Chicago. I was involved in a couple startups there. One that was in music tech was called Music Tree. We did long distance music collaboration through mobile apps and never launched. But it was a lot of fun, and I'd love to get back into working with some startups in some capacity.
Chris Callen. By day, I'm a software developer, have been for quite some time. I had a lifelong music problem. Tried to, been in various bands up in the Northeast trying to get record deals. I had my own little record label for a while. That was a nice way to lose money. In the past few years, before it kind of closed down, I was heavily involved with the Austin Music Foundation, and then I helped with Capital Review Arts over on the East Side. But I still haven't given up on content businesses, particular music. I'm concerned about the devaluation of music. I've got an interest in transmedia. I'm just throwing it out there. And if anybody else is interested in that, I'd certainly like to talk later. That's it.
I think I don't know if it's still happening or not, but there was a transmedia meeting.
Oh, it was? I mean, at South by a couple of years ago, it was kind of heavily.
It was about a year and a half.
Yeah. So I have a couple friends on the East Coast that are heavily involved in some interesting things.
Hi, Greg Mariana. Similar to Chris, I've been involved in technology for quite a while. During the day, I've been an active musician for a number of years, both here and back in the Bay Area, where I lived prior to Austin. I have had it back in my mind for quite some time. It'd be kind of interesting to unite the two. The question is, in what capacity? I'm sure that many of you have the same question. So I'm very, very much interested in hearing some thoughts about what is currently underway, what are other ideas, etc., and just meet other like-minded folks who have that interest in the convergence between the music and the technology side of things.
My name is Heath Barr. Play music here just to try to keep the creative juices flowing, and eventually, gonna try to get it together a little more, like on a presentable level, But I am interested in, the socio industry, of course, because that's where basically all the money is. So yeah, I'm here for that and free money. And that's about it, man. I'm just trying to, keep the blood flowing through the old cranium.
Can I interrupt quickly? So I was on a panel at South by last year where we were talking about how musicians and tech work together. And it was kind of interesting being from the tech side, seeing the musician side. There was a line of people who hated us. They didn't even know what we were doing, but it was literally technology is trying to commoditize and take away our livelihood. And we're in this because we love music. We're trying to get it out. We're trying to help artists. The perspective is they're looking at like what Spotify's done to everything, and they're like, fuck, you guys leave us alone. And so it's very important as you guys go through to try and position yourselves as an ally to artists, because without them, you're not going to get anywhere. And the gut reaction they have to technology is not pretty. So.
Down with copyright.
Mike Cooley, I'm a Ruby on Rails JavaScript developer and lifelong music fan. Just checking it out, see if there's any projects I can get involved in.
Darren Cody, by trade, I am a hardware engineer. So I'm actually at Intel right now, and have been for the last few years. And I also have some involvement in electronic music for many years, DJing, producing, etc. Here in Austin, came here from Phoenix, and prior to that, Washington, D.C. So I've, like some of you in here, I've kind of contemplated melding the two, and that's why I'm here. It's kind of just soak up what everybody's doing and see what all there is to get involved in, and go from there.
So I met this guy this weekend who is a Cirrus Logic. He designs like the highest end audio systems like in the world. He's got $1 million audio systems, $150,000 right there.
Is it two?
Yeah. But I should introduce you to him. So remind me to ask. Sure. That could be a barrier.
Peter Beloff, I'm probably the caveman of the group. The reason I say that because I've been in the music industry for 26 years, but in the music instrument industry, building guitars, amplifiers, working for tube companies, doing hi-fi tube amps, worked for some notable companies like Sadowski in New York, Gibson guitars, Loud Technology, so owns Mackie and Ampeg. I was the director of Ampeg brand for 5 years. Now I have my own consulting and design development firm where I help companies of various, or individuals of various sizes to develop a product. If you think of it, but don't have the chops to develop it, I have knowledge to bring it from a napkin sketch to prototype or production ready model all the way through safety certification, product launch, marketing, and end of life. I came here because I wanted to get more involved in the Austin community and what I'm doing, because most of my customers right now have been outside of Austin, so I really want to get more embedded into what's going on locally. So if anybody has a napkin sketch when it turns into reality, I can make it happen.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Adrian Tavares. I'm a designer developer. On some of my time I work for Solstice, which Matt can tell you guys more about. But I'm also working on my own startup called merch.co. It's a merchandising platform for artists that does printing, shipping, and e-commerce for artists. And I came because, I just want to meet more people, bounce around ideas, and just get more involved in stuff.
Working on Solstice. My name is Matt, and our technology helps power this music festival that's happening in 19 different cities, with 2,442 different artists and 1,000 different stages. I know those numbers. And specifically in Austin, we have a music festival as well, which has 43 different venues around the city and 110 local bands. You guys should check it out at solsticeaustin.com. Here to meet folks. And
what is that, Soul?
Solstice Austin takes place on the summer solstice. So solstice, like SOLSTICE. Yeah,
what's your business, right? Solstice?
Mm-hmm.
June 21st.
You said you have technology to provide power for stages, or you just...
So the way that...
You'll set up like energy? That's what I was getting at.
No, it powers the festival, as in like the platform, let's go sign up.
And the technology organized.
Keeps it. Yeah.
You think of solar waves, probably.
No, wow, that is a harebrained, I don't know.
No, it was probably described.
Solstice, I was thinking, so I was having a conversation with somebody about some solar stuff earlier. So. Yeah, I apologize. No, but clarification, thank you.
Yeah. All right, take it, Alex.
Hey, I'm Alex. I work with Luis and our other partner, Darshan. Our company's called Music Beats Video, and we host cover competitions. So we're trying to be basically the digital version of The Voice. We license music from artists, and then we host a contest for the 100 million cover artists that are out there right now. A lot of the contests we're doing in the beginning are with the top 40 artists, and we basically reach out to YouTube and talk to everyone that's covered that song and have them join our site. We offer prizes to our winners, and it's a. Do you have more to say about it?
No, I mean,
So are you,
Oh, go ahead.
Are you filming them, or are they filming themselves?
So they
or-
upload it.
They
They
upload
upload
it.
their video to our site, and then it goes into a voting arena, so it's basically like a hot or not, and members vote on which video they like the most, and the next one's comes up again.
Do you guys know Beat 100 in the UK? A English startup that does something similar, but that they're maybe some interesting collaboration for
Oh, that's it. I don't know that. That'd be an interesting one.
A big European market. Beat 100.
We'll check that.
Yeah. No, I'm able to make intros.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. So since the last time we had an event, we're actually almost completely out of development. We have a full-time CTO, but we are working with a company here in Austin called Space Gym Media. They're developing the website, and then Darshan, he's going to take it over, run the day-to-day tech stuff after they're done. But they should be done really soon, so we hope to do a beta test in the next few weeks.
You guys familiar with the licensing that you guys?
We spent a lot of time with the licensing thing, yeah. So it's really the idea, and I mean, who knows where it's going to end up, but the idea is to have it be more focused on independent music, and so we get the license directly from the artist, which that would solve that problem. But for marketing, to get our name out there, we're hosting some contests with some big name artists, and we're working with a attorney here in town, trying to hash all that out.
Does the MCA not protect you with?
It's such a weird gray area that, I don't know. We can talk more about, I mean, we can have a full meetup just on that topic.
We're not providing any of the music, so there's no mechanical streaming, it's just the sync licenses on the website. So that's much harder to attain.
I would say that'd be a good topic.
Yeah, we actually could do something like that, a symposium or something like that, just on licensing and the YouTube issues and all that stuff.
Even get Chris to come.
Yeah.
Or at least, I know his wife too.
Yeah, the attorney we're working with, Amy Mitchell, do you know her? She worked with Chris for.
Oh, there's this group of Texas accountants and lawyers for the arts, who the person I work with at Capital View Arts, she's involved in that too. So
That old guy seems pretty sharp.
there's a whole couple more attorneys here in town that, in the entertainment, and what's his name? Fair.
Right.
And I have the names at home, or I can certainly get them from my friend. They actually had about 3 years ago, AMF had like a 1 month thing for people that were like not attorneys to basically get schooled in almost like a continuing education class in copyright law.
I mean, you get a good entertainment lawyer on your side, and not just making sure that you're going to be a good corporate music citizen, but if you do so, the connections that they have will be pretty strong. All right, I'm Matt. The only other comment that I would have is, you mentioned briefly how strong a city it is for music and for tech, but that the marriage of music and tech is still kind of developing here. I would say that, like what Daniel was saying, and maybe this is an awesome thing, but it's a weird town for music. This town is unlike any other city that I've ever seen, just in the music industry here. Because there's so much talent, so there's so much supply, right? The music consumer is, I think, one of the toughest music consumers in the country because of the supply. You've got to be very sophisticated in the way that you try to reach people here. If you go to Atlanta, you go to LA, you go to Nashville, I mean, it's just completely different from here. So what I learned was, don't necessarily base all of your learnings about what you're doing in the music industry about like some kind of MVP, minimum viable product test that you might do in Austin. Like, you got to kind of look outside as well, because it's different.
My name is Anissa Nidell. When I was in school, I did a lot of field marketing and social media marketing for a couple tech startups, one in New York and one here in Austin. And one of them was more music-based than the other, but after graduating, went to tech sales and kind of want to move back into music tech. So I want to just meet people and see what's going on.
I'm Mike Hokono. I'm a developer. I'm just looking to throw my skills in on the table and help contribute to the community and see where it goes from there.
Daniel Senior. So I think what I'm looking for is, because of my current reality of having to work in a very complicated other startup with artificial intelligence, it's very difficult, takes a lot of time. I'm really looking to sort of grow a second pair of hands and kind of find someone who's passionate about the space, who's looking to access my network, our existing technology and relationships, and kind of work with me on a operational level and kind of day-to-day running the campaigns we have going, working on additional ones. And so it's sort of a fairly late in the stage, but kind of looking for a co-founder, COO type. Always, I've got a full team, everyone's on part-time, so we could always use more development help, etc. But really my biggest thing is needing someone to kind of every day be there, answering emails, keeping things moving forward.
Everyone, I'm Ryan. I recently moved from Chicago to get my MBA in Combs. I just wrapped up my first year, and I'll be working at ATI over the summer. I'm a passionate music fan, and just here to hear what's going on and just be connected to the scene.
My name is Ana de Alvarez. I just finished a master's in technology commercialization. Fantastic. I have my hand in a couple of startups, and I guess my fifth endeavor would be my passion project, which is why I'm here. And it's called Common Turquoise, and I like to think that I'm working to facilitate the point where all art meets.
Awesome.
I'm here because synergy, that is the point where all art meets.
That's the point where what?
Synergy, yeah.
That was the point where what?
Where all art meets.
Well, awesome. Well, excited to have everyone here. The rest of the time is just for networking, like make mental notes of who the developers are, entrepreneurs, whoever you want to connect with, and go for it. Beer, soda, water in the back. And yeah, looking forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to meeting with all of you.
Well, thanks for setting it up.
Of course.
Thanks.